Lighting seems weak again. Hey Miles, Barry, Jim. Good to see you made it back, Jim, after your bus ride. We're just gonna put back together the 1466 from earlier today while we wait for everybody to turn up before I get going with the other machine, the big machine with the coffee in it. We'll get this one all reinstalled. Andre, Yanko, DJ, PR. Andrew's here. Let's go to the overhead. No one really wants to see my face much. Just a little. Well, my wife does, so small hope in the world. I actually had another interesting job this evening before this one, and that was a iPhone 8 that had a screen replacement done on it, and then it lost its battery percentage. So the very first thing I thought of is probably the parts have been knocked off near the battery connector, and sure enough I was lucky that was the case. But the drama was it was a MOSFET for the level shifter, and it wasn't exactly a common one, so I had to do a little bit of digging around to get that. Okay, well, I actually mean to loosen these up so I can just spread that thermal transfer paste around, get it nice and thin. The thinner you can get the transfer paste, the better. As long as it covers both surfaces evenly. Less is more. Oh, the iPhone, you're talking about the one that was the $100 one versus 140. That worked out just fine. I explained to them that their data was gone because the prior screen had gone all poltergeist on them, basically, and typed in a bunch of stuff that they didn't want typed in. And they were like, okay, fair enough. Which makes me think it probably wasn't actually their phone. I'm starting to suspect it might have been, I don't know, one of the kids' phones or something. Because usually when you confront people with that kind of news, they go through the various stages of bargaining and stuff like that. A surging? Yeah, DJ, that's what I would have thought if you see a question mark. Either that or the Flex. The 1278 does have a renowned hard drive Flex issue. Oh, regarding the True Tone data, yeah, I think that would have been lost several screen replacements ago. Because I know that the data was not available when I previously had done it. As mentioned, you can regenerate it, but I tend only to do that if people really, really, really ask for it. Unfortunately, no one has. Using High Sierra. Yeah, DJ Craze, try to change the drive flex that goes from the main board to the drive. They are on the 1278s known to have problems at those tight kinks. And if it's not that, then yeah, the drive. Is it still a hard drive? Or have you at least changed it to solid state? I'd say equal money on it being the hard drive if it is one, and or the flex. Hey Keith, yes, I saw your message a little bit earlier, Keith. I figured, with Rossman busy at SeaWorld, talking to dolphins and whatnot, sea cucumbers, also known as local politicians, I figured we could do with a couple of repair videos. Unfortunately, mine don't really seem to quite get into the depth of what Lewis can, but at least it's better than nothing, right? This was the board that had the multiple failures on it, and it ended up, the final one was the sus detect controller. But it certainly made us walk around the board for a bit. Hey James Ewing. Oh, where's Mark tonight? Received a large consignment of cat biscuits today, courtesy of Mark. My wife came in and said, Mark sent us stuff again. Previous time it was a whole lot of fruitcake. Still got plenty of fruitcake to see us through a couple of zombie apocalypses yet. Thankfully. Let us hope and pray that this system actually does boot. Because not every machine that goes through the ultrasonic comes out the other side alive. A Gibbo. DJ Craze, if you don't want to destroy the data, just with that hard drive they've got, you should be able to clone that. Do you have access to things like Linux or anything? I don't know what tools you've got at your disposal there, unfortunately. But you can clone the drive and recover data from it, assuming it actually is physically readable. Let's see, what am I after? MagSafe cable, that'd be nice. And we need to test, so we do need the MacOS boot stick. Hold down the option key. Ach, nee man, what happened there? You can use a tool called DD Rescue and you can make a clone of their drive. It doesn't matter if you can or can't read the Mac partition, because you're just going to be a bit level copy. Damaris, thank you very much again. I hope you don't think that you've got to pay a toll just because you're turning up here. That's certainly not the case. Was it me or were there no speaker noises just then with this boot? Hey, Daniel Eklund. No noise. Thank you, Jim. It is possible that some on the MV RAM settings they just don't have it enabled. Hey Arnold G, welcome back. Week and a bit with your grandma and uncle. You had lobsters, zipline, drove on roads. Yeah, ones that could fall off. Yeah, no thanks. Well, it appears to be functioning. We can find out if there is noise. Yep, there's noise. So they clearly have it disabled. RPMs are good. Is there a Windows program? I don't know. There'll probably be something commercial, I'm sure. I have a small Linux server set up with an 8 terabyte drive purely for the purpose of cloning drives, and it's got one of those front loadable latch type 3.5 inch bays. And so whenever I have a drive that I need cloning, just put it into there, clone the drive, and then I can go about doing whatever I've got to do with it. Always, always, always work from a clone. Don't work from the original. If you work from the original, you'll find out why you should never work from the original. Not that I really care for you to find out. Alright, keyboard's all good. Okay. Oh, we've got 25 frames per second, so I'm going to guess this is what, an i5 1.6 or something like that, maybe 4 gigs of RAM. 1.4 and 4 gigs. Alright, so that's pretty good going, nearly 30 frames per second, so that's acceptable. Okay, so this machine is pretty much ready to go back. I'll give it a long-term test overnight, but for all intents and purposes, this is basically now fixed. And finally, we can now get back onto the other machine that we really want to get onto. Let's see what the charge rate is. That's the only thing. Oh yeah, it's 100%, so it's not going to matter. Does remind me, we should check that it will boot from the battery. That would be a simple yet entirely unfortunate error to overlook. Hey, Tony W, morning to you. Ah, we actually have a problem here that I missed. That is very weird. We have a problem on our 5 volt. Okay, that's fine. There's a problem with the DC inboard. Yeah. Looks like we've got bad contacts. Let's have a look at the contacts on this DCM board. And we just jacked up the overhead. I admit, nothing terrifying in there. It's just more a little bit gnarly, but not terrifyingly bad. A bezel. I'm just gonna test with my other DCM board again, but yeah, I think we'll advise the client that DCM board USB port is a bit shonky. Plug that in. And we will do this from the battery like we did just before. No, I don't know if you can see that, but the lights are coming up proper here. So yeah, it's just a bad DCM board on their side. Now in the past we used to probably not fret too much about that and just sort of go, oh well, you know, we'll just swap it for you. It's nothing major, it's just a little DCM board. But now that they're about 70-80 bucks a piece, that's a big fat no. It has to be charged for replacement. Okay. I wonder if it's the... Looks pretty good. Alright. Just got to make a note about that. Well, I won't be changing the USB port on the MagSafe probably. Rather what I'll do is I'll just tell the client, I'll say, it's a business client. I'll just say to him, you know, you're going to need a new DCM board. I can replace it at cost, or you can replace it at your end. Okay. Alright. Let's get to the showmaker for the day. What's fun about this one is that it's actually been here before. This isn't a warranty return, it's just been here before, that's all. I'm not even going to bother powering it up. Let's get straight to popping the top, seeing what's going on inside. Let's see, what was the previous job? Oops. 464. Not exactly sure what date that was, but that's almost 200 jobs ago. So it's got to be around about 6 to 12 months. Not even sure if I've got a video on this one. Okay, we definitely have coffee wipe right throughout it. It looks like someone's washed it. Had lots of coffee on it, both sides, cleaned it off. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be a little more maybe complicated because our hints have been washed away. Now I understand why they would have done that, because they would have been hoping that maybe, you know, it was just a bit of surface damage and they can wash it away, and if it works, that's great. They don't have to send it to Mr. Expensive Paul Daniels. But it seems like it didn't pan out that way, and so now Mr. Paul Daniels has to try and second guess everything. It's got a smell about it. I think that is sour milk that I can smell. So even though it was washed, it is still retaining a good portion of that dairy in it. Either that or it's sour soy milk, I can't quite tell. Hey Mary Claire, yes, Elita did my haircut. I did my beard. Thank you very much. I have to get both of these hinge covers off for this one. It's going to be interesting to see if I can find my old work. I probably will. It'll probably stand out like a large scale embarrassment of some sort. It can be scary when you go back and look at your old work from a year or two ago and you ask yourself, you know, why was I charging people for that? That's hideous. But at the time, you're thinking, yep, that's good, no worries, it works. Oh, thank you, Andre. I will pass that on. She wasn't very happy with it initially, but after a couple of days, well, probably about 36 hours, it calmed down and started to come together. And then she was happier. She was a bit distressed that she butchered her husband's hair. As I'm lifting these contacts, I'm just seeing if any of them could be the culprit. Alright, so this could end up just being a data recovery job. Apparently the left fan's failing. Hey Sudi. You watching from work? Are you, Travis? You're not allowed to watch from work. They'll dock your weekly wage because of that. And by the way, this is I think it's a 1041, which means it actually probably has another fault in it. It's been long enough now that there's a bit of a signature fault that the 1041s are developing. And I'm kind of hoping at this point that it actually is that. Because it has been exposed to moisture, most clearly. So, fingers crossed, it's the signature one. You're the IT manager, so you get to. Fair enough. Well, you've got the power. Let me guess, the screw just leapt out of there. It certainly did. There is a screw in here now that is not meant to be in here, and it belongs down here. And there's a concern here. There's liquid damage on the top side of that flex. Are we going to have a 50-volt blowout? Thankfully not. But we have a screw that's gone missing in here, and it's an itty bitty one, and that's very frustrating. What are the chances of me throwing a screw in and it seesaws another one out? What is this, like a bad Looney Tunes type event? Let's see, are we ready to come out? Let's see. Yes, I have a screw loose. It's the least of your concerns. Okay, so the liquid has definitely come through over there. That's not good. The home button... That's weird. What's going on here? Damn it. Okay, the home button's actually being crushed. There goes Touch ID. And I still have absolutely no idea where that screw went. For all I know, it actually bounced out. Or, if we're lucky, it's decided to be attracted to one of these mini magnets in here. No screw. And I found the screw. Yep, that's it. Lucky me. Good morning, Eddie Painter. Drowning the internals with coffee is an admirable way to start the day. Have my full approval for that. Looks like 3215s have been inundated. Or at least there appears to be a fairly large amount of coffee wash type look stuff here. There's a bit of liquid under there. Oh, it's an 1814. Okay, my bad. This one doesn't have the signature fault thing. I thought it was a 1041. Don't know why, but I did. 1814. Well, this is gonna be difficult. It looks like some stuff got on the VRMs. Doesn't look bad, so hopefully no drama. Alright, at this point, I can't see, because it's been washed, I can't see anything that I can blame outright as a smoking gun. So now we have to start the process of just simply applying power and hoping for the best, which is not a good policy, which is why it's used by us all. See what we got. 270. We're getting 20 volts. And we're booting. This is booting. Okay, what's going on then? Alright. My guess then in that case is that with this booting, chances are it's probably something like the power button that's got junk in it. Now I will put that whole board through an ultrasonic, I fear. Given the amount of damage here, and quite often, like I said, and that's been crimped, and that worries me. Hi Mohammed, good evening to you, and Ratmole, good to see you. Now how bad is that crimp? It doesn't look... I'm not sure what lines that took out, but that might be enough to upset it. So it should have been back a bit further. So yeah, I'm going to start looking at this as being a culprit. It doesn't make sense though with the coffee, but yeah, this residue is everywhere. Let's have a look at the button, see what it looks like. And as for the main board, yeah, I'll just probably will put that through the ultrasonic. Okay, we've got to take the fan off, which seems a bit ridiculous, but that's the way it is. Black, black, black. Oh, okay. We've got one silver, and that's on the right. I'm trying to remember these things for me to put it back on. So Miles, with these USB-C boards, do you ever see power drain dip down after a while? 1598 is doing that. Starts at 380, then drops to... I have, put it this way, I have seen that, but I've never fixed anything that does that. So unfortunately I'm of no use to you in this situation. Never quite know which screws to take out first on these buttons. Do you take the middle ones out first, or you take the outer silver ones out first? And then you have to lift up this section here until you get back. It's a very odd contraption that they've created. A fair warn you, when you are handling these buttons, go slow, go easy, because they have a really good tendency of tearing. I'm just putting a bit of heat here to get the glue to soften up. There we go. Okay, and we can separate these two halves. Go easy. This part at least is replaceable. And then we're going to lift up the screen and we can get the button itself. And yeah, just take it easy taking it out. It's very easy to get snagged. And if it gets snagged, that's the end of your Touch ID. Okay, button seems fine. I don't have a spare one of these at the moment. Say for the moment we just leave that off. It's already icky as it is. Hello Lars, welcome. Alright. Let's see what next we can check. Check the quality of the USB-C ports themselves. Amazingly, that's just fine. Yeah, Miles, it's in the screw box already. And that one seems okay too. The audio jack doesn't seem to be affected either. Hey Billman. It'll be sad and unfortunate if there's no soldering required on this one. It might just simply be a case of elimination of things that are inhibiting it from booting, get it to boot, do the recovery, and walk away. I think they're probably hurting a little bit on the cost side because they would have already had, a year ago or whatever, the first round of repairs, which interestingly I can't see the repairs that I've done, so I'm happy about that. Well, it looks like they're a heavy user. They've worn out the keys. Either that or a bad quality Apple keyboard. That's possible too. Okay, we're back to 20 volts. Okay, we're just up to an amp, so it is. Yep, there we go. We do have an Apple logo. Okay, we definitely have a bad keyboard. Just as it came up, there's some keys pressing infinitely there. That's going to be slightly fun because on this particular model the fans are powered through the keyboard circuitry as far as I understand. Yeah, the fans don't connect onto the main board, they connect onto the biscuit sandwich board. So recovering the data is probably going to be a bit of a slow process because we need to. Yeah. Damn. I think we'll leave it at that. That one doesn't really fall into the purview, is it, of tonight's stream. That one's going to be a case of rig it up, advise the client of what's faulty. They're not going to be able to claim that one as a what do you call it, magic keyboard replacement, butterfly keyboard replacement. They're not going to be able to do that. So they're kind of up the creek in that case. I do wish in these scenarios that I would be able to purchase the chassis from people. Like if they say, look, we've had it with the machine, we just want the data off it, give us a price on how much you're willing to pay for that chassis and everything. I'd like to have that opportunity because it's pretty hard to get hold of chassis with at least partially functioning screens. And usually you can get them at a better price than certainly what you're going to get it on eBay. I mean, on eBay it's going to be a nightmare. You're not going to get anything. Alright, where's that? What are you? Jobs 648. So that's a real shame to have it come back to life, the prior repair, only for it to die a little later on. Well, let's see, what have I got in the queue? What's going on with this one? Why haven't I finished this one? Water damaged. 644. I know I've worked on 644, but I don't know why I've stopped working on 644. All I've got is water damage. I've got nothing else. I do wish at least I could have left myself some comments. That would have been nice, Paul. Disconnect that board. I think this is the one that was booting to 20 volts, but it wasn't doing anything else. I'm pretty sure that's what this was. Hello, Brennimer and Kraken. Welcome. Come on. Open. Open. Crikey. Wow, that's amazingly well stuck. So 20 volts, 500. Yeah, I think this just gets stuck at 600 and nothing else. Okay, falls back to 280, 300, 400. And I can't remember what the cause was or what's going on with this. Is it a bad screen? Is it a good screen? Okay, I just noticed something. The CPU is cold, but I'm drawing probably like in the order of 6 watts, but I got a cold screen. Oh wait, I got a blinking folder. Blinking heck. Where is that power going though? I'm not trying to be funny here, but the CPU is very cold in spite of the fact that we've got... I know the screen's going to use up a bit, but you would expect the CPU. Okay, what's happened here? I'm actually going to have to put the thermal camera on this one because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Then again, maybe I'm just a bit doofus, a bit silly in the head. Let's get the gym cheat stick. I mean, it could be just going into the screen. And I have my sincerest of doubts. So the camera chip is warm. They do have a tendency to do that. I don't know why, but they do. Everything's just barely warm. Maybe it's because it's a cold night. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Hey, crotch cam, crikey. Sorry about that, my dear folks. But yeah, that camera chip almost always is cranking up snow. Well, I guess I can't really blame anything here. But now I'm confused because I would have thought if I'd fixed it, why on earth would it not be marked as fixed? There's got to be something else to this. Something I've blatantly missed. Hey, Warren Stamps, good evening to you. Let's see, 644. Yeah. Yep, definitely. Maybe it can't read the drive. Let's see, turn off. Keyboard's not responding. Well, keyboard's not responding because trackpad's disconnected. Okay. just reconnected trackpad / keyboard. Oh wait, that's not keyboard. That is just trackpad. What I'm doing now is going through and reattaching everything and seeing what causes it to no longer work anymore. And we're just going to wait for the blinking folder as our confirmation one way or another. Long pants for me are always optional, yes. It's just too damn hot on the best of days to wear long pants. Don't get me wrong, I do like wearing long pants. I much prefer it, in fact. But unfortunately, the weather in general betrays me. Miles, yeah, that I do remember that. That was a 1466, that one. Okay, so trackpad's fine. We're now doing the daughterboard sort of audio combo here. It's a bit of a sluggish process, but at least it's something that you can just work your way through. Hey, David Munro? Yes, taken 15 years of my age. Now I'm only in my early 40s. Okay, blinking folder. So it's not that. So next step is keyboard. No, just want to make sure I'm looking at this one right. Okay, so the keyboard does have to... What is going on here, Paul? What the... How... What... It is at this point that I aggressively scold myself for being a completely incompetent repair person, such that I did not make notes to indicate that I needed a replacement keyboard flex, which of course I could have just easily obtained, as I have a fair, reasonable source of that, mostly meaning I have a donor board for it, or donor chassis. I genuinely do not believe that I did not see that in the past. Ugh, these strong magnets make it quite difficult to get out. Fortunately, someone lost their job probably, and they actually provide a replaceable keyboard flex on these. But it's probably corroded as feck. Oh, there's a big chunk of corrosion down there. Okay, so we'll just take this flex. It's probably actually not that damaged. I could probably throw it in the ultrasonic. It's mostly gunky. Yeah, let us not try and say it's old age. Especially after I was just told I'm looking younger. Not a day over 39. I will take that, sir. I will most certainly take that. Okay, so something just ate its way through there. This is the keyboard, mind you. And that was a bit of copper. Now the question is, was it just a test pad, or was it actually important? Now we have to be careful here, because we don't want to run any liquid through that keyboard if we can help it. Hey, NH555. Good evening to you. Oh, I think I know what I was waiting on. I was supposed to... I got to replace that connector on the board. I was trying to find a good source for one. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I'm fairly sure that was a test pad. Probably more for when they're just factory testing, going through the pin machines and whatnot. I'm going to put a tiny amount of 80/20 down. Looks like a lot, but it's not really. Yeah, that looks like a veer, but it's not. It's actually just, well, I mean, it might have, but it's actually just corroded more than this one, whereas this one does not have a veer. Right. But I do suspect I'll have to change that flex, not flex, the connector on the main board. I'm just a little bit disappointed at myself, to be honest. I mean, I do apologize if the person who owns this machine is watching. My sincerest apologies for the fact that that has been delayed for goodness knows how long now. What is this job number? 644? Okay, it's not that delayed, but it's enough. And so I apologise for that. Certainly would be probably a more prudent. Yeah, there we go. That trace is gone. It is out of here. Right, that goes in the rubbish bin. Alright, I'm going to go into my stores room and find a replacement. I'm fairly sure I've actually got a new one too. Hello, 1708s. Wow, I can't believe I bought 1534 spare parts. Why? Nobody fixes 1534s. You, sir, look like a 1708 keyboard flex. And it's disgusting that you're cavorting with a 1534 touch button. Right, fairly sure this is the replacement I need. That, or it is a 1534 device, and I've just simply thought it was mixing with the wrong group. Getting in with the bad crowd. So what's your code number? Shucks. It's on the keyboard side too. Alright, this really does need a full replacement. We'll see what we can do. I mean, the deck's got to be, at the worst, the deck's going to be replaced anyway, so it's not like I can do any extra harm. Right? Perhaps famous last words. Walter White. Okay, serious question. Shoot. This morning you did an SMC reball, 1 of 2. Perfect. Went to do the second one, the stencil's vanished. As it landed on my desk. Oh gosh. If it's on my desk, you know it's lost. Obviously I'm just using flux to try and clean this out. The ultrasonic should get anything that sticks behind. There's a bit of tarnish going on there, but I really am not concerned about that. Mind you, this... have a look at that one there, it might be a little bit of a problem. You also recorded your perfect reball, but had a... oh yes, I used to have lots of horrible days like that. In the end, I just basically got into the habit of just running OBS non-stop. You run it all day, and you just put the microphone somewhere on the bench, and that's it. You do not let it stop. The moment you do is pretty much when you've done something fantastic that you want everybody else to see. Oh, thanks, Walter. Well, I just basically had a haircut and shaved the beard off. Things are still... yeah. Things are still things. That's pretty much the only way I can put it. But, overall, I am happy with how things are progressing. But thank you. Wait, what the... have I even looked at this board properly? What? It's got the tone of ultrasonic on it too. Oh no, actually that's probably just alcohol getting on to that stuff. But seriously, look at that. Oh, I get it now. Okay, I don't know why I was interrupted halfway with this job, but I was, because now I remember I took these two chips off, because these two chips, they are just amp chips, and I definitely took them off, I remember now. But I just don't understand what must have... I wonder if it was the It might have been the fire day, Monday week back. It might have been that day, and that's why I just sort of dropped and ran. Without leaving any sort of hints on what the hell I was doing. But yeah, all this was really nasty liquid damage, and I just took off the amp chips straight away because there's just no point. The amp chips were all gunked up. But yeah, I'd say it was Fire Kitty Day. That makes sense to me now, because I very much have no real strong recollection of this job. It's not a good thing, but it is what it is. Fortunately, I do right here have a donor that we can hopefully take those chips from. We'll have to reball them and put them back on. Oh well, there we are. Now we just need Solderbridge to turn up, and he can get his reballing dose. Sleep repairing, that's also a possibility. Not so much, but I did used to go to work in my sleep. I'd be clocking in at 2 a.m. And I didn't realise until the boss called me up one day and said, "Why are you going to work at 2 o'clock in the morning?" I was like, "I don't know. How do you..." I didn't think I was. And sure enough, when I looked at the security transaction, the security door data, lo and behold, Mr. Daniels had indeed been turning up at work at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then going back home, going to sleep, waking up and doing it. It's a bit ridiculous. They were fairly sort of intense days. That was when I was over in Africa. Things were a little bit crazy. Well, it's good that you finally got to that point, Walter. I mean, yeah, it could be any chip, couldn't it? Yeah, for some people, just doing one of those 6 or 8 pin blue quartz glass type chips, sometimes that can be the thing that brings people undone. Alright, obviously I don't think we're going to have a direct fit stencil for this, so we're just going to have to find something that's close enough. I don't imagine we'll have too much trouble there. I'm not sure why you're not getting notifications. I guess that's something you have to forward on to YouTube, and YouTube will just say unsubscribe and then resubscribe and make sure you hit the bell, all that sort of stuff. Too big. Perfect. 4x5, 4x5, perfect. Dun dun dun. Marvellous. Get ourselves some solder paste. to do that I have to get rid of all the crusty old paste that I left on the spudger. Damn it. Good morning, Greg. Alright, I'm actually going to have to change my glove. It's split, and I have to change it because that's the hand that I use when I'm handling the solder paste. And if I don't replace it because of that split, there's a pretty good chance at some point I'll have a mishap and somehow or another I'll start ingesting solder. And I don't think we want me ingesting solder. Let's give the paste a warm welcome. I just realised I'm using an iPhone hot air situation at the moment. I've got a 6mm nozzle on it rather than my typical 9mm nozzle. That's because of the iPhone 8 that I was working on before with the battery issue. Should do it. By the way, I will have it known that I actually have no problem with SMC reballs. I know that, some people seem to completely hate them, but I think of it since I saw Lewis hating on them so much, I thought, I'm going to give this a go, it can't be that bad, and it wasn't. I mean, I had a few hiccups, but for the most part, I like both paste or balls, but I admit I am more partial to the ball system now. That was a very nice quick flashover. Damn it, got stuck before I can push it out. Good evening, Anonymous Repair. Welcome. So let's see, pin 1 for those chips is up towards the SMC. It's actually a bit too much flux around there for my liking, so I'm going to heat that up and scrub it away. Well, it's not exactly what you call a perfect scrub away, but it does at least get rid of the worst of it. It was not really a little tap, that was more of a ginormous shove, but hopefully we did okay. Okay, one more to go. This one seems a little more reluctant to depart. Sure took its time. See if we've got enough paste residing on. Yeah, that should be enough. These tweezers, yeah, they're not too bad. I don't know, Tian Li. Anything is, I can't find them anymore. I got it from Union Repair and then they changed. I can't find this particular type anymore. They make me. You're gonna have to make me re-ball you, aren't you? Ooh, you actually came back. That was a great comeback, kid. Genuinely thought I was gonna have to re-ball that one. Jason, I do have the Vetus ones as well. I've got the Vetus Ultrafines. Okay, I'm just going to change this cap here. Don't like the look of it. I'm pretty sure that's... Yeah, it's not glossing up nicely. Jason, did you already send that other machine off yet? No pressure, I was just curious more than anything else. Yeah, the Ultrafines are the ones I put in the plastic tubes. I don't have them. Oh, do I have them in here? I have some tweezers in here. Some of many dozens that I've tried and discarded. This is just some that I've long since forgotten about. Yeah, these are the Vetus ones. I think this... Yeah, Vetus. Except in there I've got a Lindstrom one. That was a big fat waste of money. The metal that they're made out of is quite good in terms of its chemical properties and whatnot, but it's soft as butter. But yeah, these are the Vetus ones, the Ultrafines. We've got a few different... Yeah, I've gone through and tried multiple different sorts of tweezers. More Lindstrom. Plastic ones that I always forget that I've got plastic ones, and then I bring the hot air over to and wonder why it melts on me. What are these? These are some generic ones, but they're a lot heftier. More Lindstrom. Seriously? More Lindstrom. These have got to be Vetus ones. Yeah, these are Vetus as well. These titanium ones, honestly, I feel like sending them back to the people that made them and telling them to shove them in their ears or something. I don't know. They're completely and utterly useless for me. And another Lindstrom. These were the biggest load of lies. The trouble with the titanium ones is they're just too soft. When I say soft, I shouldn't say soft. They're too flexible. So you try to actually apply any pressure to hold onto something, and it just sort of goes no, 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 and moves out of the way. And it's like, hold on to that wire. I was like, no, you're pushing too hard. And so yeah, I think I used them for 2 or 3 days and then put them back in their box with great disgust. I was like, well, that was $20 worth of nothing. If I want fine tips now, I'll either get these sort or I'll shave down or grind down existing ones to suit my needs. Fancy tweezers are not crowd pleasers. I'm pretty sure that connector's going to be fine. There's no point in me trying to replace it, melting this one as well. I just don't think it needs it. Now my next point of concern is, of course, the keyboard sandwich itself, the biscuit sandwich thingy, because it does look like the connector on there may have issues, and if that is the case, I'm kind of up the creek. Fine tip multimeter tip, yeah. Look, I use the, okay, that's actually workable. Sorry, I'm just changing topic, I know. You can see the damage up in here and behind here, see that? But fortunately it is all predominantly surface in the connector itself, so if we can clean up the connector, I don't see why this shouldn't work, because the solder joins have still got integrity, so that's alright. Let's see, what were we saying? Oh yeah, the, what's the damn brand I use? Hirschman or something. Yeah, Hirschman tips I use in all of my gear. But it is one of those things, again, where you probably end up grinding your own down anyway. You do want tips that do have good penetrating power. I know that sounds very wrong, but the reason being is because when you're doing continuity tests or ohms tests, it's all too easy to get a false high reading because your tips aren't up to the task. Jason, yeah, it is a 17. I've got a couple of top cases, but I still want to, I'd rather see if this one works than just replace it, particularly if the liquid hasn't come through the keyboard. Just trying to think how I'm going to convince the corrosion to take a holiday here. I need something with microscopic sized bristles. Yeah, I'm using some 80/20 and then I'm using straight isopropylene. This is just straight isopropylene, that's why I'm being a little bit more uh, loose-handed with it. Because chances are it'll evaporate off before it gets to the point where it can cause trouble. That looks pretty good actually. Insect legs, that's a good idea. Someone should make a tool called the insect legs. That sits in cleanly. Eyelash brush. Okay. Let's try that. I actually do have quite an enjoyment in going around trying to find alternate uses or find alternate objects that can be useful for the work we do. If that makes sense. Things we can turn into tools to make our lives easier. Okay. No, it's a bit of a games kind of thing, a bit of a hunt and challenge. I quite enjoy it. So no, you're not the only one. I'm sorry. Get off my territory. Okay, we've got a bit of a flex required, bendy. Anyway, we can deal with that later. It is, however, making the whole assembly bend around a bit. Alright, let's not push our luck. Option key. Good evening, Micromage Repair. Okay, I don't think we have any keyboard response still. To be fair, the keyboard feels very gummed up and nasty, so I think, yeah, that in fact, none of the keys on this thing really click at all. This thing has been 100% without doubt drenched. So I think we just did all that for pretty much no point. Yeah, just trying to press these keys, it feels like just pressing on rubber. A rubber sheet or something. There's no clickness. That's a full soak. And the battery's starting to feel like it's had better days. Alright, what can I do here? External keyboard. I'm just looking for the adapter that you use to go from USB-C to... Oh, there it is. A bunch of other stuff. Oh, one of these things. That. Plug in our MacOS. Plug in our power. Hopefully that should actually go to a boot point. Hello, Anel. What are you doing here? No, I'm certainly hoping this thing still boots, because remember we did just put those 2 chips back on it. So if it doesn't boot, we may have to take those chips off. Yeah, maybe we kind of stuffed things up. Maybe maybe that one that slid off right at the last bit, or didn't look like it was going to boot. Did I miss something here? Why do I get the feeling I've missed something? Oh, that is not booting. Let's see, 5. Well, we're definitely going 20 volts. Oh, that just shut down on me. Okay, we've got a boot loop after it gets to 20 volts, so I'm suspecting maybe... Oh, now it's good. Yeah, that's kind of a bit dodgy. At this sort of point, you do contemplate whether it'd be better to simply ultrasonic the board. Yeah, maybe there's some dregs of something sitting under the CPU. Oh, we've got the battery complaint now. That should go away. And it should boot. Looks like it's not going to. It's going to be a bad trackpad in this case. Okay, trackpad off. Let's try this again. $20 volts. Cycle. $20 volts. Cycle. Now you see, I don't know if it's 20 volts. Okay, no, something's making it reset unpredictably. See how it goes. Well, I don't think it'd be the ribbon cable at this point because we actually disconnected it. There's no keyboard ribbon cable or anything attached anymore. Alright, so we got our battery thing back. Now that, like I said, that should go away and it should proceed to boot quite often. Anthony, yes, so I'm now, I was saying before, I'm now just in my early 40s. But it seems we fall back to 46 odd milliamp, which is not enough. Maybe it doesn't like the audio chips. Yes, I'm kind of thinking that it could have been I did a bad job on the reball. Joshua Anderson, 1466 with a shorted cap AV7. Yep, with it removed, yes, it will be okay. I mean, ideally you could replace it, but it will run okay with it missing. It may have a hiccup under extreme load, but other than that, it should be fine. Alright, so this does not want to... Where's the... Let's go to the schematics. Where's the debug jumpers? Too many debugs. Oh, that's right. It's this monstrous one down here is one of them. And yes, there's this great big here. SW... Yeah, onboard power buttons. So you just short out this one here, and it should turn it on maybe. I say maybe. Because the problem is that, well, I'm not overly accurate with my hands. Interesting, not a thing changes. Oh, that's rather peculiar. Alright, I'm going to connect the battery and see what happens. I feel like maybe it's getting a bit late, yeah. It's getting a bit late, and I'm sort of running out of smart things that I should do. Instead, I'm now pulling things out of my not so smart pile. Sure, entertaining for all you, but possibly not good for me. Okay, this is interesting. With the battery connected, it's actually just going tick, 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 tick. There's still something colossally bad going on that board. I just haven't found it. I think I might take those audio chips off. Okay, that works fine. And you get to 1 amp, which means you're running now. Oh, and I realise nobody can see me. I do apologise. Wrong mouse. Hey, we got an Apple boot. The USB tester, you talking about these things here? Yeah, they're very handy. I mean, look, if you want to go on a budget, then just go get yourself a USB memory stick that has lights for power and lights for CPU access. If you do that, then you'll basically have the same thing, basically. But if you want to have something that also checks the quality of the 5 volt rail, which this does, and then gives you the ability to hook up a banana plug for your ground when you're doing voltage or diode mode, whatever, then yeah, this is useful. Given that it's a one-off payment, it's worth it in my opinion. It's taken a while to boot off that USB stick. I suspect it's probably because it has no keyboard and trackpad. It's probably running in SMC failsafe mode. Oh, red light. I've seen that before. Eh, that wasn't good. Yeah, Jim, they do occasionally do. I have noticed that it will do that as it transitions between graphics modes. Don't ask me why, it just does. Tony Harold basically made the LEDs brighter, and he made the data green LED stay on longer, so that it wasn't just a very quick transient. He gave it a bit of a delay factor or longevity. Okay, so my mouse works there. Firkin, I don't know, to be honest. You'll have to deal with Harold's website directly, and I suspect you're probably not going to have a lot of luck because, as far as I know, there's a lot of postage restrictions at the moment over in where he is. Yeah, safe mode, if you want to call it that. Alright, so this person needs a new deck. That's DECK. Thank you very much, you bunch of immature people. But I think we'll leave it at that. But at least it works. Wonder if the face cam works on it. Oh my goodness, this is slow. Jim, no, this dongle here is this one here is a proper MacBook authorized one. Paid quite a pretty price for it too, but it does work. Right, at this point I'm just simply waiting to see if that even comes up. I see there's a few temperatures way off scale right now. Okay, I need to make note of this, that airport, mainboard and heat pipe temperatures are all off the end of the scale. So I may also have a sensor issue Because as far as I know, they should be built onto the board, or at least a couple of them. Incoming, outgoing, and main board. I'm just going to go into the quad view and see if there's a common line there. This video will resume when Mac cools down. Okay, so it's not going to run because it thinks it's too hot. Okay, what I'm looking for, let's see. What is it, FinStack? I think that's what I want, FinStack. Yes. Okay, so let's go into the schematics view here. Okay, so what's basically happening is all of these seem to be pretty much offline. And so we could actually have an SMC issue as well, above everything else. Fantastic. So it's not only slow because of the fact that we don't have a proper keyboard and mouse or anything else, it's slow because it's got issues with the sensor lines. Okay, we'll just power that off. Let's go to the overhead. Get some light back on. Disconnect the battery. Now I want to go and check to see what the diode modes are on those I2C lines. Yep. 5360. Like I said, it could be bad SMC. Wouldn't surprise me. Because that is where we had damage. Because remember, this is the audio chip area. So SMC being damaged is entirely possible. Okay, we're on diode mode. So what is this? Third one. Top. Doesn't seem right. .55. That seems pretty good for what we're dealing with. And that will be the other one. .56. Subtle difference between them. Really need to shrink these down. Five three six one, 5361. Alright, so there's a subtle difference between them. Yeah, that it's within the margin of error. But it could be that we just simply have a blown SMC. So I would not be surprised if there is damage under that SMC. I'm half wondering whether I've actually already replaced the SMC. Have you, Paul? Have you already replaced it? Yeah. Why do I get the feeling the answer is yes, I have replaced it? There's one way to find out. Give it a bit of a reflow and sort of gauge by the amount of time it takes as your guide. So, yeah, with a... Well, that's not good. With a lead-free SMC situation where it's an original, there's definitely a good period of time before it starts to wiggle. But we're not going to do a reball, we're just testing to see how long it takes for this chip to move. No, that's been replaced. I don't know if it's damage or not, but there is something a little weird about that resistor in the middle there. I'm not sure if you can quite see it. Actually, I think it's just paint thinning, that's all. Yeah, I don't think it's anything in particular. $52.99. It should be around about 100k. It'd be very unusual for that to be damaged. It's lower than 100k, so it's okay. Unfortunately, I don't have control of the ISO exposure on this camera. Not while I've got it being used in USB mode. It's interesting that I think the camera data goes along the same bus. What? No, it might not have been a hole. It might have been just a case of, yeah, the laser trimming. Unless you want to. What the heck? Where did your blimey heck? And now I've got ants moving in on my territory here. Definitely getting time for me to head off. Junk on it, yeah. I'll do it. So I'm kind of inclined to think it could well be bad SMC. Yeah. Because the diode values seem quite okay. That or the ALS, but I'd have to disconnect the screen to test that. Oh well. Anyway, that's it. I'm retiring for the night. It's late. I can't believe I did that. I cannot believe I did that. That shows how tired I am at the moment. I took off my headset and turned it off before I was even finished. That's ridiculous. Anyway, now I'm going. I'll see you all next time. Take care.